Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David and in this video I'm going to show you how to play the game Comet. And in this game the players will try to save as many animals as possible because they will score you points at the end of the game. But also once animals are safe, some of them will help you for the rest of the game. And I can tell you how to play this game with thanks to Hot Games for having me this review copy. So please let me show you how it's played. This game is for 2 up to 4 players. You'll place the game board in the center of the table and choose which side to play. For your first game they tell you to use the side with the blue numbers. On the other side you will have the red-orange numbers, but the only difference is the layout of the board. There's no special rules on any of the sides. All of the players will get one of these savior boards, so they come in 4 colors. And all players will get 3 matching savior tokens with 1 claw, 2 claws and 3 claws. There's also a mammoth and a giant turtle, but you can set them aside for now. Then there are 100 silver cards, and based on the number of players you will divide them in 2 piles. One pile will be the draw pile and one pile will be the Comet pile. And you will put this Comet card on top of the Comet pile, and also this one you will set aside for now. This will come into play once we run out of cards of the silver draw pile. So for example, in a 2-player game you will put 55 cards in the draw pile and 45 in the Comet pile. And with 4 players you will put 85 cards in the draw pile and only 15 cards in the Comet pile. Then there's also a draw deck for gold cards. These are basically the same cards as the silver cards, but you will put 4 cards of the gold deck to make a face-up display. And finally we have these bigger cards. Those are the hero cards. Each player will randomly get 1 hero card, and this animal will help you during the game to save as many animals as possible. So each player will get 1 special hero ability that only that player has. So in this case my hand limit is increased by 1 card, and I will score 2 points at the end of the game for each rescued silver card. All hero cards will give you 1 special ability and a way to score extra points at the end of the game. You put your hero card face up so everyone can see what's your special ability and also what bonus you will get at the end of the game. So 2 points for each rescued gold card, 2 points for each card that has a green egg on it, all kinds of bonuses. Then all players will draw 5 cards from the silver deck into their hand. And then we're ready to start, and the player who last saw an animal of an endangered species starts the game. And this game is pretty straightforward, easy to learn. When it's your turn you have 3 options. You hatch, or you move, or you rest. The goal of the game is to save as many animals as possible, because they will score you points at the end of the game, given on the right bottom side of the card. And on the left bottom of the card you will see a number, and that will be the number they hatch. So when we go to the board we will try to rescue our animals to the safe entrance on the end of the board, on the top of the board. And we see the eggs are numbered, going from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 or even 12. So whenever you want to hatch an animal, the number will tell you where to put the pawn of that animal. And to hatch your animal you don't have to pay anything. You simply put the card of the animal you want to hatch in front of your player board. And since you have 3 pawns, you can only rescue 3 animals at the same time during the game. So let's go for the dodo. This will give me 13 points at the end of the game, but it will start at number 11. It doesn't matter which pawn I select. I simply take the one with the 1 claw and I'll put my pawn on number 11. If another player is on the number you want to hatch, you can choose to wait until this pawn has moved. So you can hatch on number 11, or you can choose the next 3 nest with a higher nest distance. So in this case I could put it, if I want, on number 12. And if also all higher number nests are occupied, then you can't hatch a new animal. But the lower the number, the closer you are to the entrance. So if your number is occupied, it's maybe better to wait. But that's all during your hatch turn. For example, in a later turn, I want to hatch this dodo. It will be starting at egg number 5, so I'll put it over here and move my second pawn to a number 5 of my choice. I can choose this one or this one. Let's take this one. So that is hatching, but you can only hatch one animal during your turn. Another action you can do is move, because once you have animals on the board, of course you want to move them to the safe entrance of the cave as fast as possible. Therefore you will have to discard cards from your hand, and this is kind of like the quest for El Dorado. All animals will have area symbols on the side of their cards. Some have 1, most have 2. And you can use both of these symbols to move your animal. And basically you can only play one card to move. So maybe in this case I want to discard the wallaby. This will let me move to an adjacent lava tile and to an adjacent jungle tile. So I can choose to move this pawn to the lava and then into the jungle. But I can also split movement between all my animals on the board. So maybe this one to the lava and this one to the jungle. And like I said, this card gets discarded. So you won't be saving this animal this game. And then again, it's the next player's turn. However, there are animals, or in this case 2 times the same animal, that will have this symbol, and this means a wild. So you can move it to any adjacent space available. And you can add these cards, as many as you want, during the one card you play for movement. You cannot play these cards on their own, but only in addition to another card you use for movement. So if I would add this card to my movement phase, I can move one of my pawns 1 extra space. But then also that card gets discarded. Only exception is you cannot move to a nest. But the fun part of this game is also to score free movement based on other pawns on the board, or even your own. Because basically you will move your savior token to an adjacent field, or to a field directly behind the skipped tokens that matches the used area symbol. So for example, let's make a really good example. Yellow has an animal here and the blue player has an animal over here. And now I discard this dodo to move my pawn. I can move to the jungle. And since I can get to the jungle by jumping over this yellow player, I get a free step. And with this symbol I can get to an adjacent meadow. And I can use this pawn to get to an adjacent meadow. And even when these two are together, I can move adjacent to this field because it's adjacent, using only occupied fields. So during your movement, try to use other pawns as much as possible, because that will move you faster to the safe area. And to get to the safe cave, you can use any movement symbol you have to make the last jump into the cave. Once your pawn is into the cave, it is returned to your player board, and by the number of the class you will see, you can remember what the animal it is that you have saved. In this case I now have saved the dodo, and I'll simply put this face up. It will give me points at the end of the game, although this one does not give me any bonus or special ability for the rest of the game. And now I can use this pawn again to hatch a new animal. The third action you can do is rest. Maybe you've played all your cards because you're moving your pawns all over the board. And also you will lose cards, of course, because you will hatch new animals all the time. So with the rest action you will get new cards, and also you can ready all the cards you've used. Some cards will give you special benefits if you exhaust them, and then you cannot use that special ability again until you have rested, and then you can ready all your exhausted cards again so you can use them for the next round. For example, this giant dragonfly, if I have rescued this animal, so this goes only for the animals you have saved, the animals you got into the cave, I will keep it in front of me, and this says during the movement phase I can exhaust this card to get 1 free wild move. But then this will stay exhausted until I rest, and when you rest you can refresh all your cards. Also some hero cards might give you a benefit that needs you to exhaust the card. In this case my hand card limit is increased by 1, that is just permanent. So the resting action is done in 5 steps. Ready all your exhausted animal cards and your hero card. If you want, you can discard any cards you have left in your hand and you don't want to use. You can discard them to the silver or the golden discard pile. Then first you will take one gold card from the supply, so you can pick one card you want. So for example this card, and this card is an action card. This is a one-time use, and this says move one savior 3 spaces without skipping occupied fields, and then you discard this card. So this might be the gold card I take. And then you get to draw silver cards from the draw pile, so you don't know what you'll get until your hand limit is reached, and your basic hand limit is 5 cards. But since I have this special hero, my hand limit is increased by 1, so I can draw up to 6 cards. There are also cards, again this quagga. If I save this animal, so I get it to the safe cavern, then my hand card limit is again increased by 1, so then I would get to 7. And finally you will refill the offer, and then it's up to the next player. So that is your rest action. Ready. Discard cards from your hand if you want. Take one gold card and fill your hand up with silver cards till your hand limit, and then refill the offer. Sometimes you are allowed to take more cards from the gold display, but you refresh the gold display at the end of your turn, so you cannot take a card, then refill, and then take another card. If I should get a second card, I have to pick from the ones that are left, and at the end of your turn you will refresh the golden offer. And basically that's the game. The game continues until we run out of cards from the silver deck. And when the last card is taken from the silver deck, when it's depleted, then you will take the cards you set aside with the Comet card on top of it, and you simply put this Comet card on top to remind you that this is the Comet pile. And if the player that depleted the deck was not able to collect all cards he needed, then you can continue drawing cards from this deck until you have drawn up to your hand limit. Now all other players have to choose to either draw silver cards up to their hand limit or to ready all cards they exhausted. You can choose only one of those two. And once all players are done, the game continues as normal. However, during the Comet phase, which is now, you can only hatch and move. We do not draw any more cards from the decks, unless you have a card that has a special ability that lets you draw extra cards. So you can no longer take the rest action, and so we continue the game until all players are run out of options. And if you skip your turn, your game has ended and the other players will continue playing. And when all players are done, then we're gonna score points. All animals you have saved give you points at the end of the game. You can find the points in the right bottom of the cards. Animals that are still on the island are not safe, so unfortunately they didn't make it and they cannot provide you any points. Maybe some animals will give you extra points. For example, if you rescued some of these animals, if you saved 3 of these animals, you will score 6 bonus points. Then if you saved 4, and if you saved 8 of these animals, you will score an additional 36 points. There's also set collection. If you collect both a salamander, an iguana and a gecko, you will score 15 bonus points. So when you save this salamander, it's worth only 1 point, but it's very interesting to also try to save an iguana and a gecko to score much more points. And like I said, most hero cards will give you also extra points, so I'll get 2 points for each rescued silver card I have saved. And then the player with the most rescue points is the winner. We don't have a tiebreaker. There were also these giant turtle and the mammoth. They come into play by any of the cards, and they say maybe you can put 1 or 2 of those tokens on the board, and you can use them to help you move faster, because of course you will place them somewhere in front of you, so you can use them as a stepping stone and skip some movement. But of course also other players are now able to jump over this turtle or this mammoth. Some more examples. This one will score you 2 points for each rescued green egg. All animals will have a colored egg, so the hatching number will be in a specific color. This one is blue, but this card lets me score the ones that have green eggs. So maybe you want to rescue some more animals that have green eggs instead of another color, just for the bonus. This special ability lets you exhaust the card during another player's turn. You can use the area symbols also of a card that a player has played to move your own saviors. This one, during the rest action, you can take one gold card instead of drawing one silver card, so you can get one gold card basic, but instead of drawing the other cards from the silver deck, you can first take another gold card to your hand and then continue filling up your hand with the silver cards. Like I said, the gold cards are exactly as the silver cards, only with the gold cards you have some options to choose from. If you exhaust this scout, you can skip all lava tiles during movement. This one will score you 5 points for each rescued beaver at the end of the game, but also you can exhaust it once and then reduce a nest distance by up to 2. So it would be nice when my dodo would start on number 11, I can exhaust this card and now I can start on number 9, so I get some free movement. With this guardian, when you exhaust it, you choose 2 saviors and they may skip all the nest symbols this turn. You can exhaust this card to get another gold card, or exhaust this card to ready one of your other exhausted cards, or even take one silver card played by another player after their turn, and this one will get you 1 extra movement if you exhaust it. Just some examples, maybe also some examples from the animals you can save. And these special abilities will get active once you've rescued the animal. So your hand card limit is increased by 1. Set collection. When you have this one in your played area, you may exhaust it to hatch 2 animals this turn instead of 1. Set collection. With the raptor, when you exhaust it, you can play 1 additional card for movement. This one lets you use the area symbols of a played card from another player. This one has no bonus, but it scores nice points, 11 points. Scout of water, choose 1 savior, of course your own. This savior may skip all water spaces this turn. Here's your beaver, reduce a nest distance by 1. And so there are all sorts of bonuses that will help you get to rescue your animals as fast as possible. And that is how you play the game Comet. Rescue animals from the island as fast as possible, because they will score you points and some will give you special abilities for the remainder of the game. So, pretty straightforward game. You hatch, you move, or you take a rest action. And with moving you need to discard cards with the right terrain symbols to move your pawn onto those terrains. And you can use all other pawns on the board to jump over and skip some spaces. All to score the most points at the end of the game for all the animals you've collected, including the points that your hero card will give you. Thanks again to Hot Games for having me this review copy. If you have any questions about this game, please feel free to ask them in the comments below. My name is David, thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.